Going live. Hey, it looks like it's working. Both my laptop and the live stream. So, as much as I like to delegate everything, I managed today, I had to do some running, so I did some on-sites, which managed to drop my laptop, which seems to have survived. It was in the case, and all I do is use this little case right here. There's nothing special about it. Matter of fact, when I talked about what I carry, people think I carry too little. And this case does not offer a lot of protection, but it did survive a, I don't know, roughly 3-foot fall on a cement basement floor by some servers. So I was wondering if it was going to come on, and I was like, you know, if my laptop doesn't come on or I broke something on it, I would actually not have been able to do the live stream on time. I would have jumped to the other room or something like that. So anyways, welcome to episode 186 of Vlog Thursday. I received some hot sauce, and the hot sauce is actually quite good. This is the Palo Alto Firefighter sauce, and I gotta admit, these, I believe you can find these on Amazon. I don't know. Someone sent them to us from Amazon. They were nice and sealed, and so that made me happy. So we were excited that this was really good. They have like a habanero, which is what I ate today. They do have a just regular roasted pepper sauce, and then they have another one that is ghost pepper. The flavor profiles are very similar on all of them. They kind of got this really good roasted pepper, tomatoey taste, kind of reasonably thick. It's not like it's a, you know, reasonable sauce. Anyways, I like it. It's good. That's the hot sauce I'm going to mention. I only have crackers, and the rage that was produced from people who I also can absolutely understand and agree with by listening to Tom Crunch crackers or anything crunchy and not just bread with hot sauce. Not that really, I don't think it does. I don't know. Does watching my reaction eating habaneros really do it for anyone? Because there's not much of a reaction anymore. Like, I've eaten a lot of habaneros and a lot of ghost peppers, and there we go, fix the microphone. And I realized I was kind of pointing over there. But the, anyways, I understand not liking crunchy sounds and things like that. ASMR only makes me angry, for those wondering. Like, I don't like mouth noises. I try to avoid them myself. I certainly don't want to listen to them, and I know a lot of you don't. So, anyways, it's good, and that's my talk about hot sauce. But we're going to talk about more than hot sauce today. So let me look here and turn this off, because I don't need any of that. Oh, it's cabling jobs. Yeah. So I guess we could start there before we go to the Defcon car hacking. So the cabling jobs, I don't want to link bait it. Defcon car hacking may get its own video. I'm just going to kind of generally talk about it. I kind of, maybe me and Xavier will have our own video where we kind of break down what happened with Car Hacking Village, which is really cool. I did some behind the scenes things. I tweeted out about this. I didn't do a video there, but I want to do some post discussion if there's interest in how they did that. And I was actually hanging out behind the scenes with the people from Defcon. Cabling projects, though, we'll jump to that real quick. I just had a video I did, released the other day, and I talk about, like, you know, you won the bid, now what? And I'm trying to think of better ways to concisely break these down, but that was literally the discussion. The blueprints to another project are on the other side of that wall. They wanted to use this area, and I had to chase my staff out into another area, which has now been cleaned up. Someone said my office was messy when I did like a behind-the-scenes video, and I'm like, that's what all the projects look like. I mean, you have to put them all out somewhere, I guess, messy, but they're all cleaned up. They all got delivered, and now that area is clear. So the blueprints are laid out for yet another project. And really, you know, from doing a 30 cable drop to what is now a 300 plus cable drop, the one I was there, it's, I don't know, it's once you figure out how to do 1 cable drop or 10 cable drops or 30 cable drops, it's just more zeros at the end. It's that you label the cable and pulled it, you label 30 cables and pull it, you label 300 cables and pull them. As long as everyone's on the same page how you do it. It only took 2 people to do 300 drops. It's really not, that was a 2-person project that knocked the whole thing out. Not as difficult as people might make it out to be. I mean, it's a lot of hours, and it's a lot of labor. It's still pulling 300 cables. There's no shortcut to pulling 300 cables other than you do get to pull a handful at a time. So if there's a certain area that has a number of cables in it, then yes, you get the bonus of, hey, this like area, as I walked around that place, maybe had a large quantity of cables. Sure, you go ahead and pull them all together from that grouping. So that kind of makes it a little bit easier. So that's it's kind of simple, I guess. I want to say simple because I look at it from a simple thing. Once you know how to do one, like I said, it scales. Now, how long did it take? Well, that's actually a little bit harder to figure out. I don't really, and they don't, neither one of us track their hours that were there because they're not paid by the hour. We establish a per drop price for the client, but I also establish a per pull rate for my contractors. So once those rates are established, this keeps your costs fixed. And that way, as wiring drops get added, the simplicity of both how I pay the vendors or contractors and how the clients build and all things coordinated in between are very simple to math out. So we don't add how many hours. Not to mention, paying people by the hour is something you pay when you don't know how else to bill. You'll pay someone by the hour. It's always best to pay by the project or by some type of method that you can measure that the work is done, because then the person's incentivized. You know, it just goes not just in the tech industry, but any industry. The person's very incentivized to get things accomplished. Like, I don't care how long it took them to pull the wires. They have to pull them right. They have to put them properly secured through the J-hooks and, you know, properly routed and everything but they're paid for their accomplishment of getting it done, not how long it took them to do it. It has to be done right or they're going to do it again. So there's incentive to do it right the first time, because you're certainly not paid to do it a second time. But if you pay people sometimes by the hour, and this is not an absolute science, there are people who sometimes will just kind of slack off and not really follow through. So that's kind of how that does. So you do all the pricing like that, and it makes it a lot easier in my opinion. So how many boxes do you pull from at a time? That's actually a question I can answer. I think I can answer it like this. So let me go through sharing. I'm going to find it, and I think there's a picture. This particular job, at least. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 12. But I know this isn't all of them, but this is the way they pulled it, and I can share this here. So there's 12 boxes here, and a lot of times we'll do, depending on the area, if there's, 12 in that area, we can pull from 12 at a time when they have 12 boxes. I know this was like the first delivery, and there's been more since then. So, I mean, I can look up the total number of boxes we used on there. I've done that before. I will count because they are tied to a job. We'll look at how many boxes got used on a per job basis. And figuring that out. So that's, interesting note on when you do that. I think I have a picture. Let me find it. Detroit. And I think there's a picture of us doing the polls and me pretending to work. I joke because that's kind of what happened. Yeah, this is that picture. There we go. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 boxes coming out. This is one of the rooms in the build out. They had 8. And there's me taking a selfie pretending like I do work. That's what it looks like when they're pulling them. And once it all goes in this room, so they pull it all the way to the comm room, and then they pull the extra from here to go to each one of the stations that it was going to go to build out this room. So that's kind of how that looks. So it varies. We'll pull as many as needed. This is one of the reasons it's handy to have, even for a small job, multiple boxes so you can get all the pulls down at once. This just adds efficiency. So I don't mind if they're efficient, even though they're paid per drop. I'm not going to make them run through one box of cable and refollow the same length each time, because that would be inefficient and not the best way to handle it. So there are multiple boxes on site to make that happen. So hopefully that makes sense. It all depends. You can sell whole boxes to clients. It kind of varies on how you want to do it. We usually don't. We have multiple boxes. We note how much is in each box as we do the inventory, and anything left over just goes to the next job. We don't bill line item at all the customer for the box, unless there's a request to do so, which sometimes there is, and it'll do there. So, we buy the patch cables in bulk. That question came up on YouTube the other day, and maybe I misspoke and said we had to put in all these patch cables and someone thought I meant make all the patch cables, or maybe I said something along the lines of making the patch cables, but we don't make them necessarily, with the exception of there's a job we did make them because they needed a bunch of custom length ones under desks. So that job, it's been a while. It's been a number of years since we did that one, but I know we had to do some custom fabricating because they weren't even patch cables. They were patch cables on a plug on one side, and they went into a keystone on the other side, so it wasn't like this is something you can buy prefabbed as easy. So, yeah. So making patch cables is not efficient. They're generally way cheaper to buy them than to make them. Someone else did make them, just it wasn't me. Yeah, they're less than $1, exactly as someone pointed out there. They're less than $1, therefore, yeah, what are you going to do? Now, we do a lot of these cabling jobs. They are tricky, as I stated in that video, because filming it all is a multi-part endeavor, and I'm not the one going on site, and the rest of the people don't know as much about producing content, so there's a lot of trickiness in filming it, and I do have things to do besides drive over to places all the time, especially those places aren't always close to me. That makes it that much more challenging to do. So let's have a summary of all that. So the dislike person is here. Yeah, the dislike person's always here. That's pretty much, that's the thing all the time. No big deal there. I'm not worried about the dislike person. Onward to other things and other tasks is, where was I? Defcon. That was a fun place. Let me, what do we got here? Let me find some of the Defcon photos. So what goes on behind the scenes at Defcon? We're going to show a couple pictures. I'll make sure I can. I know I took more. Where'd they go? Oh, here they are. Defcon. So this is behind the scenes at Defcon. And Defcon normally has the main Defcon conference. Roughly between 25 and 30,000 people attend this conference. That's Xavier in the background and a couple other car hackers. And this is one of the cars that was being hacked. Now, normally Defcon is at Vegas. That's its traditional location. And then they have subcategories, if you will, at Defcon, such as the villages, as they're referred to. These villages are for... what?
Your LC fiber came in for your testing.
Oh, cool. These villages are for, subcategories, such as the car hacking village, which is one I was participating in. But there's other ones for different subsections of hacking, I guess, if you will. So the car hacking village happened to be here in Detroit. It happened to be run by Xavier and a couple of my friends. Therefore, I got an invite with me and just those couple people at this particular location in Detroit, just outside of Detroit. It wasn't in Detroit proper, where the car hacking occurred. And this was just a whole lot of fun. So it was a interesting adventure for sure. And how they facilitated all of this was interesting too. So there's actually two cars in the car hacking, but the Tesla was far more interesting to me to hack than the Dodge truck that was in there. Now, the reason for this laptop that seems precariously placed in the center console of this Tesla was because we were streaming the webcam of the Tesla so people could see as they interfaced with the Tesla, which, by the way, we have some breakout boxes here. And just out of range, there's a Raspberry Pi in the seat. They allowed publicly people to log into this Tesla and try to do different things. This is the person who is actually head of Car Hacking Village directly. You can follow him on Twitter, and we can leave a link to it. It's CARFUCAR is the person's Twitter handle. So that is their... where they were doing the hacking, and his personal car for doing it. So it was kind of fun, and like I said, it was just an overall really fun time being there. It was a fun time. This is the flag they had out in front, which I thought was kind of cool too. So I took a picture. That's my Tesla, which now that I've learned a lot more about Tesla hacking, we're probably going to be hacking on my Tesla. So that's actually kind of exciting as well. But it was just a whole lot of fun getting to interact with these people, interact online. And the reason for so many laptops was a all of them are running OBS. So they could actually take each one of the talks, stream them. They had the talks pre-recorded. They would stream the talks, but then live answer all the questions and participate. That way they could do the Q&A. So the event went really well. It was all handled on Discord. And Discord actually had a dedicated engineering team to coordinate putting DEF CON online. So being behind the scenes and seeing how that went, and the fact that it went really smooth, was amazing. Just to see the whole thing and, you know, have really good conversations and get to meet a couple people in person that were there. Elon was at DEF CON Car Hacking Village 2 years ago. That's funny. I did not know Elon was there a couple years ago. Now, embedded Tesla key in hand. So let's find this person. So this got tagged with me a lot. And what she does a lot of interesting hacking, Amy, and I got to meet Amy at the car hacking. So she did make herself famous when she put a biochip in her hand, Tesla biochip install, which was really cool. So that led to a lot of people saying, hey, did you see the person that embedded the Tesla? So this is her Twitter account, so you can follow her. But yeah, she did the embedding of that on there. She does some really interesting work. Specifically, she actually hacks a lot on satellites, which I thought was really cool as well. To go a step further, what she did while we were there, and let me share that. So go over here, and I'm gonna do a video about this, and let me find the video of me and her, which was this. She has an upgraded chip in her hand now. This upgraded chip, she was showing us how it worked. Let me jump to the part that's interesting. We had to activate key pairing, and she's got an RFID tag chip in her hand right here. And what you're seeing, let me jump to the spot where it lights up. You're actually seeing the chip in her hand. It's a subdermal RFID chip. The RFID can pick up the voltage, through the air when it activates the chip, and it activates a green subdermal LED. So when I play this back again, it does it with a phone, but not as bright. But the Tesla RFID is a lot stronger, so it's actually able to light up her hand. This was hysterical. I'm probably gonna do a video about this because I just thought it was really cool, and definitely really neat to have this. And I was like, oh man, for a subdermal implant, that just seems cool. And of course, someone like that would have to be at the car hacking village. But oddly, she wasn't there for the car hacking. She was there as part of the satellite hacking team working on that. So that was really cool. And this is a big place, so everyone was kind of, kept distance and stuff like that. So it's really absolutely cool. So it was definitely really, really neat. So that's kind of my experience there. Maybe, like I said, I'll do a summary video on the entire topic because I had a great time, met some cool people. Matter of fact, this, and I tweeted this out, this is the badge for Car Hacking Village. And not just any badge. This badge is functional. That is 2 network adapters, and if you look at the back a little closer, there's another adapter on there. And this pin out in the middle and the one on the end, one's for connecting your computer, one's for connecting to a vehicle Ethernet system. So it's basically car Ethernet, and this is programmable. This has got all the chips on it to decipher the newer versions of CAN bus that CAN bus over Ether. So I want to get the person who actually designed and worked on this and uses this tool. He may come on the channel. He happens to live here in Detroit, and he was there as well. So it was really fun watching how the car hacking actually occurs, how it breaks down, and how you do things and how you control things and how you take over things. And his day job when he's not building badges and running Car Hacking Village is he's a paid professional car hacker to do reporting for the automotive industry. So he's got a very interesting job. Might be fun to have him on the channel as well. He's pretty cool. So yeah, it's the LED subdermal implants. I've never wanted a subdermal. Well, I kind of thought a subdermal implant would be cool, but I really think a subdermal LED implant would be really cool. I don't have any tattoos because I can never convince Future Tom that he should get any tattoos, because Future Tom will probably be angry at any present Tom tattoos that are desired. But subdermal implants, that just seems like a way cooler thing. So. Yes, I will, because I am a car hacking noob, so I will not be making those recommendations for which resources to get started. But if there's enough interest in it, I will get the people who spend their life doing the car hacking and have them on the channel. They live locally here, so I can probably get them here in studio. And or I don't think they would let me come to their work because I think they're pretty much like, they work in a Faraday cage. They have really tight security around it, but they can at least talk about how to do it. So it's kind of fun. And but yeah, they will talk about it. I mean, obviously this badge is an all-in-one CAN bus hacking thing, but I know there's some pretty basic, inexpensive tools you can get started. I am by far not the expert, but these people do know the pros and cons of which ones to use. So obviously it sounds like there's some interest, and I know people may leave comments after watching this live show. The people who watch this later, if there's some interest in diving deeper into this, I have no problem, because I have these people, they're interested in talking about it, so I would love to have them on the channel. I'm sure they'd love to be on the channel, and we'll throw some content together about some of the car hacking. So that's kind of it in a nutshell in terms of all that. And maybe Amy, because she was really awesome to talk to, we had some good conversation. She actually is a Lego Mindstorm hacker, which sounds weird. So she hacked satellites, and she won some prize. Her and the team had won some prize money for the satellite hacking they had done. And but her other hobby is hacking Lego Mindstorm. And just so I can get her name right and say it on there, she is... her website, so you can find, if you're interested, and she posts all the resource on there. It's amiedd.com. So this is her website, amyd.d. So she's a magical unicorn and software engineer, in case you're wondering more about her. The other people who do the car hacking don't have, well, I can't say don't. Justin is the other car hacker that was there. Justin doesn't really do much for hacking. He doesn't, well, he, other than saying he's part of Car Hacking Village, Just Hack Justin is his Twitter handle, but he's not much. He is not online a lot. It would best to describe it. So that's Justin right there. So, anyways, and of course there's Xavier. Xavier and Justin are friends. I met Justin through Xavier. But it turns out I actually know Justin's brother. I didn't even know until I realized Justin looked like another person I know, and turns out I knew his brother. So anyways, I'm not going to dive deeper into that. But either way, there are a lot of interesting people I got to meet. It was a lot of fun. I spent the weekend there with them, hanging out, and had brisket and fun stuff, and talked with groups of hackers. It was kind of cool. They had a common area outside where everyone socially distanced. It was still in lockdown here in the U.S., so it was, kept things safe, and it was beautiful weekend to hang out and nerd out with a bunch of hackers. So that was just a great time overall. But yeah, if there's interest in this, it sounds like there is, based on some of the comments I'm reading here in the live stream, that I will go ahead and get them on the channel and bring some topics on there, because I think it's kind of fun. And eventually I want to hack my Tesla, so that's going to be interesting as well. Let's see, what else do we have here? So cool to have them on. All right, so back to other topics we can babble on about, such as NAS. And someone asked something about the length, and I don't know, I missed the question, but I do have, because I want to do some more testing, some more fiber optic cable. So I might do some more fiber optic videos related to that. This is in some connectors. There seems to be a demand on talking about that, so I may do an updated cabling video. There seems to be a lot of people asking questions about it. I really want to do, and we just been so busy with projects, which is something I'm very thankful for that we have been busy, but it's something else I want to talk about too, is I have that rack back there that you can kind of see, and this one here. And there's some pros and cons to the way you wire things. I know that question comes up, so I'm going to make the why you do it this way, why you do it this way, and both ways are right. It comes down to how you want to do it. One does have an advantage over the other. One has the advantage of being faster. One has the advantage of being more modular. Which one do you want to go with, speed or changeability? That's what you're really asking. And time is money, so speed is money, so how fast you can punch something down in a modular. I'll break that down, and of course someone asked, what patch cables do you like? I'll get a bunch of patch cables together and lay them out and have that discussion. I did it before. Why not make a 2020 version of that? Because there's a lot of questions around it. What do you think about running fiber inside your house? As someone who's in the process of getting a new house, I'm getting closer to that process. It's on my to-do list, so maybe, but I don't know. It all depends if I have servers that are in the basement and I put something fast upstairs and I need fiber, cool. But the reality is it's cheaper and easier to run Cat 6. And Cat 6 in a house is enough to get you 10 gig. Cat 6A will get you 10 gig over distance. Cat 6 will get you 10 gig over most house distances, except for if you have really big house. So I don't think fiber is usually necessary, but if you want to play with it, cool. But it's overkill for the most part, and it restricts your ability to PoE things. Grayson, thank you for the donation. Have you any experience in OSPF or Pfsense? Nope, I have not. I just don't use OSPF and BGP. Outside of, basic setups, like use this route announcement and something basic, I've touched it a little bit, but it's rare. I don't use it very often outside of data centers. It's just not that often that we get a lot of calls on. It's just, as much as we do with the bigger work, a lot of times it was either already configured or we're just dealing with a handoff where that's handled upstream, some of the BGP stuff, and we're downstream a layer on our Pfsense because we're dealing with the direct network, not the larger BGP part of it. And as far as Vios, Vios is cool, Ansible's cool. I'm not a big user of Vios, so I can't really speak much to it. It's cool, but I'm not likely to do any videos on it unless I get deeper into using it for some of my clients, and right now I don't. I love the announcement with XCP-ng and Vios, but, it's neat, but I don't use it a lot, so I'm not likely to do any tutorials. Let's see. Max length of 10 gig over Cat 5e. I have a 20-foot cable that works. It has some errors, but it seems to work pretty good. The max length is completely hypothetical for 10 gig over Cat 5. It is not supported officially, but it does happen to unofficially work. So it's not something we would ever run for clients, but because I had Cat 5 already in the wall at my office here, I plugged my computer in at 10 gig, and there's a, 25-foot cable or 25 feet of cabling. It's punched down into a keystone and goes into a Cat 5 patch panel, which goes into a 10 gig port and happens to work at 10 gig perfectly fine with very minimal amounts of errors at all, but I seem to get the full bandwidth out of it. And yeah, so I don't know what the max length is. I thought about experimenting with it, and it's kind of been one of those, it's too inconsistent is the way I say it, because different cable types are going to respond differently. Run Cat 6, problem goes away, and Cat 6 is really cheap now, so you're just going to have to try it on an as-needed basis is my recommended. And if you're running it new, don't even buy Cat 5. There's no price difference really anymore between Cat 5e and Cat 6. Let's see. What about Napit? TrueNAS Solar Unixes perform better? I don't know. I never used it. If you feel like testing that, go ahead. I don't know what you're asking. Is it possible for private IP addresses on Pfsense WAN for the HA? Possible? Yes. Headache? Yes. I mean, if you want to, in a lab environment, you just want to see how HA works, you can definitely use private IP addresses. In a production environment, there's hacky ways to make that work, but it's less than ideal and not something I would endorse. Would you use SFP Plus for home? Only if, here's the thing. When I use SFP Plus, why do I need it? If you're a home lab person and you need SFP Plus between your storage server and your virtualization server, awesome. If you're Tom, the home user, who doesn't have anything at home, why would I do that? Matter of fact, my bottleneck at home is the fact that I have less than 1 gig internet at home. So if I had over 10 gig internet, or over 1 gig internet, I would go with 10 gig. My home is just Wi-Fi. Matter of fact, my home just has 2.4 in it because I don't care. There's not any servers at home. So I guess, what are you using it for? Do you need a SAN connection? Then use SFP Plus. It's going to be the ideal thing to do for a SAN versus 10 gig over, your standard RJ45. It's cheaper. You can buy the cards inexpensively. I'm looking as I usually have one within my reach on my table here. You can buy an SFP Plus card cheaper than you can buy a 10 gig RJ45 card. So that probably makes sense. Let's see. I have 5 public IPs using 2 ADSL modems. Or left with 3. Don't want to waste on HA. Do you need HA? I mean, the reality is you can have HA, but don't sync the WAN, and if it goes down, move it over. Just don't do it. You can actually build out an HA without the WAN in sync, and then the 2 firewalls are identical to each other, and you can just move the cable over on an as-needed basis if there was a failure. So that might be better. I don't know. What do you recommend for full network capacture with Pfsense? I recommend setting up a port mirror, which has nothing to do with Pfsense. Pfsense can port mirror, but generally you put the port mirror on a switch. So you'll have the data coming in or wherever you want the feed to be, and you set up a port mirror on the switch and you dump that data over to whatever you're doing for logging. Let's say Security Onion, and you're setting up Security Onion, so you set that up for logging, and cool, there you go. It's not a matter of Pfsense. It's a matter of what you're going to port mirror. So it's not a compatibility thing with Pfsense. Now, what I am working on, and I have a forum post on this topic, which is how to send Pfsense on to a SIM tool such as Security Onion. I'm working on a write-up for that, but I was trying to debate, do I do the video on how to get Pfsense to the Security Onion, or do I do a video first on how to set up Security Onion? Which one should I do first? These are some of the challenges. So I just say, you should learn how to load Security Onion before this video, or do I say, watch my video on Security Onion? Now, these are the challenges sometimes I have with making videos, is if I feel like I'm starting in the middle, how to send logging data out of Errata and syslog data out of Pfsense to something to collect it, such as Security Onion, and process that data, then where do you start with that particular video? I've already done plenty of getting started with Pfsense videos, which they're always asking this. No, Pfsense doesn't work on Raspberry Pis. I've seen someone ask that. It just doesn't. So yeah, do the Security Onion setup first. Now that's where the challenge becomes. The Security Onion setup. If you ever look through the documentation of Security Onion, the getting set up on it, just the install, pretty straightforward. You can next and yes your way to an installed version of Security Onion. Then it spirals into complexity very, very fast. So yeah, I probably will cover just a base setup of Security Onion to do that. And I don't know, maybe I'll make one video, because people do seem to like when I make one long video. And if I make one long video and then put all the time indexes in there, now you have one video that answers all those questions, and I can just time index. So if you already know Security Onion, you can jump to that part. Or if you just want to get to the part of the Security Onion where you do the firewall rules, you can jump to that part. Or you want to get to the part where you set up the Pfsense rules and the Eve rules inside of Errata, and how to make that work. I think I brought those up last week on how to do that, the specific rules necessary for it. So there's a lot of detail in it, but it'll be a long video. So which NAS would you recommend if I want a 4-bay? I've been looking at the Synology. I don't know. I usually go with the Synology. If you like Synology, go with Synology. If you like FreeNAS, go with FreeNAS. I don't have an easy answer for which NAS is right for you. So the long videos with timestamps. Yes, it's harder to do, but yeah. So the DS918 is a nice one, and I'm working on actually some new Synology videos, because we have our Synology doing some logging right now. Not logging, doing some testing for how it handles, I should say, backing up Office 365. So that video maybe tomorrow or that. And I've been working on a new Huntress video as well. So that's going to be coming soon. We've been waiting because there's a lot to the Huntress. So we're waiting till we have all the things figured out so we can do said video on Huntress. So it's going to be, I have a lot on my plate all the time. That's actually the challenge. And squirrel, got too many things going on. At the same time, I mentioned that I'm working on a deal to buy a house. That also means I'm working on a deal to sell my house. And the convergence of all these things means there's just a whole lot going on. So, but that's all right. I still somewhere in between will keep my sanity by making videos. So, lockpicking's fun too. So. I seen someone say lockpicking. Once again, squirrel, new thing to look at, lockpicking. By the way, I got lots of pictures of me picking locks and learning tumblers and how to do that and how to, set the rake and pull through. Oh, I'm not an expert at it. It's just a completely fun hobby. And guilty pleasure is watching the lockpicking lawyer who makes everything look way easier than it really is, but that's just a lot of skill from doing it so much. Lockpicking lawyer, big shout out there. Not that he needs a shout out. That channel is really a lot of fun. So definitely lockpicking it coincides with any of the hacking stuff. There's a big crossover, all of those. So I have not used Parrot in a while. So I have those old Parrot videos I did, and I haven't done any new Parrot videos because Parrot broke. And they seem to try to get so bleeding edge that you bled out using it, because I just got aggravated dealing with all the instability that was created by the rapid change on there. So I don't know. I use whichever one makes you happy. They're both really solid overall. Kali seems more stable, but overall solid set of tools in both. And someone said, actually one of the developers reached out to me not that long ago and said that they had stabilized the project a lot better, but it's kind of fallen by the wayside a little bit from other projects I've been working on. Watch my video on where all the Cat type of cables are broke down. So I already have a video that answers Cat 6 and Cat 6A. You can look up in Wikipedia the differences between them. So I'm not the best resource for that, Wikipedia or my person that I interviewed about cabling standards. If you type in cabling standards on my channel, you'll find a video that breaks down all the cabling standards. Best Linux distro for software developers. I'm going to throw Pop! OS out there because Pop! OS has been really nice in terms of all the polish they put on here to make it easier if you're a dev to get things loaded. The Pop Shop is very fluid. The fact that they can pull all the different things, including, which I have, and I'll pull this up, like the Eclipse IDE is loaded on here as well, so we'll hit launch. And when you want to install something like this, when you want to just pull up the Pop Shop and fire up something on here, they've just done a nice job of putting in all the dev tools that you might need. So let's go here. And if we go to development, from a non-Linux user standpoint, they have a long list of dev tools that are right at your fingertips just to install. So I'm going to say Pop! OS is really nice. They even have the GitHub desktop, open source Electron-based GitHub app written in TypeScript that uses React to provide simple collaboration for your desktop. They got so many little things in here that are easy to install without a lot of effort. We'll search real quick. But like even the Eclipse one, you just click on install. I've already got this one installed here because I needed some Java. They give you the options. They just make this easy. So I like how they have a pull down here in case it's available in more than one method. You can figure out which one you want to load, whether it's Flatpak or part of the system. And sorry, we did leave a phone in here. I should have them take that phone out. Whoop. Do they have Kden Live still in here? Huh, weird. Oh, it's already installed, so it probably didn't show up. Either way, they've bundled. Oh, it says I'm looking under development. So, wrong area. Home. So instead of working on development, select globally and go KDEN. There's Kden Live. And this has whether you want to install it as a deb. I should probably do some updated videos on this, the overall Pop! OS, but I'm still a huge fan of how it works. Even though I know advanced things, me knowing something advanced doesn't necessarily mean other people have the time to learn that. I like things to be easy to use, and I think Pop! OS has done a really solid job of creating an operating system that is not only, all nice Linux with an Ubuntu backend, which means any of the Ubuntu work instructions you find when you're looking things up work. It also has all that polish and enhancement, making it easier to load, which is great for people starting out so they don't have to start with a really steep learning curve. They can start by loading things all through the app system and then move into later understanding it better, which I probably should do some better videos on that. So do I use the default kernel? Yeah, I just use the default kernel. I don't have a reason for swapping the kernel. If I did, I would, but I generally don't. I want things just to work. Matter of fact, stability is the only reason I would ever move to another kernel for the most part, especially on this is all I have at home is this laptop. This is what I take on site. This is the only computer I have at home besides my gaming one. This is the only work computer I have in terms of work when I'm physically outside this office. Therefore, stability is the first and foremost thing I want before features, and this Pop! OS is very stable with the kernel that it ships with. Hopefully that makes a lot of sense. Eclipse feels big, yes. That's for sure. But I don't do much development. I'm not an expert when it comes to development because I'm not much of a coder. Most of the time, my editor and my development environment for everything I do is just Vim. So yeah, I have it on here because I was trying to get something else worked on, and it didn't work anyways because I'm not there. VS Code, that's another popular one as well. I know people use it. Like I said, I'm not a developer, so. Let's see. What do you think of Cubes? Cubes is a reasonably secure operating system and pretty neat. Not going to do a video on it. By the way, Cubes uses the Zen hypervisor, just like the Zen software I use. So Cubes is definitely really cool. It's out of scope for, I don't use it, so I'm not likely to do a video on it. I've done some distro videos, and while the number of people asking for me to do distro reviews is high, the view count on any of those videos tells me it's just a few people making a lot of noise. Anytime I've done some of the videos like that, they don't ever seem to take off. And other people that have done them too, the same thing. Like, no one seems to watch them, and they take a lot of time to reproduce because it takes a lot of time and effort to use another distribution to learn about it. And I'm not that interested in distro hopping, so I may do some more Linux videos, but it'll be based on my use case, because I realize the videos I think that, well, one, they seem to perform well on my channel, the ones that people have the most engagement, the most interest, and have the most watch time, are when I talk about things that I use, not things that I think are just interesting, like, hey, that's neat, but I don't use it, so I can't really go in depth on it. I realize just tweeting out things I find interesting is probably more engagement than it'll get a video, and I don't have the time to learn something, and I would only be learning it for the purpose of a video, which feels not like what I want to do. So I'm trying to focus down on just doing videos on the things I use all the time, and I'm always experimenting with new things because I'm always looking at new things to use at my company here. So sometimes that may lead, it's not like I'm statically sticking with everything I have. I do veer off and play with other things occasionally, but frequently they disappoint me and I swing back the other way when I go, this looks like a neat idea, and you play with it, you're like, this is horrible in implementation, and I end up dropping it. So let's see. Gaming VR things? Well, that would be different. I don't game at all on this. I game on my gaming computer, not on my work computer. So if there's gaming enhancements and VR enhancements and you're using Linux for gaming, then probably load the latest kernel. But then again, stability in games probably matters too. But then sometimes cutting edge doesn't necessarily mean there's going to be instability in it. But there's just a lot to it. It's a lot to think about. I have not talked to Sammy and his car hacking, but I'm aware of it. I believe he's the one that did the, Sammy did the PwnStar, which was the OnStar thing. If I remember right, if I have the right name on there. But yeah, definitely, he's also done plenty of other clever hacking things for sure. Oh yeah, then someone thanking me for the longer Pfsense video. Yes, that one is done. that's a lot of work putting those together. There's a lot of time that goes into, and then the editing is killer. Editing and then time indexing, all that, man. It's a labor of love, but it's a long time for sure. So, what else we have here? Thinking about completing junior, do you think the benefits going through? I don't know what GNCIA is. So, Juniper GNCIA, I'm assuming it's some type of Juniper networking. If it makes you happy. Someone said I was kind of being smartass on my forums when I say if it makes you happy, because people say, thoughts on Pfsense. Use it if it makes you happy. I do this on Twitter all the time, too. People start, and maybe I'm not understanding. Maybe there's a disconnect between cultures. Thoughts on, and they name something. I don't know. You're not asking a question, so I like it. That's something I reply. Someone says, you're kind of a smart ass. And I'm like, but I don't know what, you didn't ask a question. You said, what are my thoughts on it? I like it. That's my thought on it. Then someone said thoughts on two different things. And I'm like, use which one makes you happy. You didn't ask a question. You said thoughts on two different technologies that aren't even competing with each other. You can use either or. So I don't understand it as a question. And I don't know if that's me just not understanding the people who ask me these questions, but why do people say that all the time? And it seems to be a popular message I get too, that by the way, I frequently end up accepting Twitter DMs and blocking those same people for doing that. They seem to almost be, sometimes they block me, I think, or just get mad because I tell them I charge because they just bomb me with a million questions. But a lot of them are, Tom, thoughts on this? Use it if it makes you happy. Well, you're a smartass. What do you mean thoughts on it? So I can't figure out if I'm disconnected from people on that. I don't know. That's a rant, but that seems to happen a bit much. I don't. So anyways, is there cheap x86 hardware for Pfsense under $200? Not new. Any used board, any 5-year-old used motherboard will do it. So yeah. Yeah, thoughts on coffee. I love coffee. There's my thoughts on it. So, plug for how they got hacked. Yes, we filmed how they got hacked at Defcon Live. That was a thing, too. Penny for your thoughts. Maybe that's what they used to say. Thoughts on. Tom's thoughts on. That's true. Maybe it's penny for your thoughts. I'm not even getting a penny, especially these Twitter interactions. I don't get a penny for those. I don't get anything for those. Thoughts on this, Tom? I don't know. Looks fun. Go do it. If it makes you happy. Thoughts on MikroTik. I think MikroTik makes inexpensive equipment that's kind of fun to use. I have, since I learned a little bit more about SwitchOS, I did a video about MikroTik and SwitchOS. They're the MikroTik people that I said I don't have a use case for that. I found a use case for it. I did a video about it. Does that video even have anything on there? Oh, ooh, cool. I got a message on. President of the Chamber of Commerce messaged me, so I have to message back. There we go. That's done. That's where I was at the Chamber of Commerce having a discussion with them today. So, thoughts on Detroit? I like the Detroit. So, gotta love repetitive people. Yep. Hopefully that works. Cool. Got that answered. What your experience of Brocade? Nope, I didn't use Brocade. So, or if I don't use Brocade, haven't used Fast Turn. Coffee is black. Thoughts on 2020? It's more than half over, guys. That's my thoughts on 2020. It's more than half over. That makes me happy, right? Do you think Pfsense can inspect SSL traffic? No. The only way you can install, well, goes further. The only way you can inspect SSL traffic is if you install a certificate. And you have to turn off TLS 1.3. So yes, if you break things down and turn off extra security that comes with TLS 1.3 and install a certificate on a system, cool, now you can inspect traffic. Are you going to do that? I don't know. That's up to you. So I don't think it's a great idea. And matter of fact, some of the banking websites we're realizing very quickly will definitely not do that. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's probably the best idea to do so. My thoughts on Pittsburgh toilets. I like Pittsburgh toilets, and the house that we are hoping to buy does not have a Pittsburgh toilet, so I'd like to install one. So my wife said no. What camera system for home use? I gotta admit, the Ubiquiti cameras are still some of the nicest and easiest, but the Synology, probably you have more diversity. So Synology system, if you want the diversity of a lot of different things, if you want that dead simple, easy to set up camera system, hands down, Ubiquiti still, for home users and more basic systems, Ubiquiti is just solid on that. So definitely, definitely the Ubiquiti stuff, as much as they are interesting with the whole UniFi Protect line, and hopefully they keep supporting it, but in the big picture, it's a nice system. And if you're looking for self-hosted, there's a million options if you're not looking for self-hosted, but all those come with subscriptions and upload your data to someone else's servers, and you may or may not want that. TLS 1.3 is going to be a problem for schools. Yeah, probably. They're just going to move the DNS filtering. I don't like the USG in business environments, and I don't use Pfsense, and I don't use Proxmox. If those things make you happy, use them. I don't use them, therefore I have no interest in them. I looked at them. They seem to offer nothing. Like Proxmox is neat, but I like XCP-NG better, so if you like Proxmox better, then you should use Proxmox. It's funny because where that usually ends up going is people asking me to do a bunch of videos, or like there's not enough videos on it. Well, there's Jay doing videos on it, and Craft Computing. Jay Learn Linux TV does some videos. As a matter of fact, how many views are those getting? So let's go over to YouTube here, which is funny because it's one of those things that I get messages on Twitter tagged in, please do videos on Proxmox, and I'm just like, well, I don't think it's as popular. So the most popular video right now on Proxmox, let's see. So right here is, Jay's video has 92,000 for low energy virtualization. I know Jay has another video on his channel about it. They don't have the same number of views, and there's not a lot of them. So if we look for like Proxmox tutorial, yeah. So they get a few views, but not near as many as my XCP-NG videos. So I don't know. My interest level is less in doing it. So like 51,000 views in a year. And hey, by the way, he did do this at my studio. That's my friend Jay. And I don't know. So as much as people are asking for it, the views don't support that it's something. And I don't use it, so I wouldn't be good at doing a video on it anyway. So hopefully that makes sense. What else do we have in here? Yeah, Techno Tim has some videos on it. Learning network vulnerabilities, Kali Linux or Parrot. Both of them have lots of tools in there for learning network vulnerabilities. So let's see, what else do we have? What do you think of the Dream Machine Pros, the firewall for SSL inspection? They don't offer SSL inspection, so the Dream Machine Pro won't work for that. UniFi, to my knowledge, doesn't have any way to do SSL inspection. If they do, I'm unaware of it. There's no official way that I'm aware of on how to support that. By the way, not only is the TLS filtering getting harder, as the QIC protocol progresses, it breaks things even more with SSL inspection. It's just SSL inspection is a losing game. G4 doorbell, if they send me one, I'll review one. It seems to be always out of stock. Management VLAN. There's always a debate I've seen about this. People tell me it's the way Cisco does things. I don't know. Hey, Willie's on here. So, yeah, trying to do DPI based on SSL. I mean, you can set up a management VLAN. It's just a matter of how do you want the environment set up, or you can make the native if you want the management and then create rules around the other traffic that does it in there. It kind of depends on how you want to configure things. So, yeah. A lot of times you just use the main VLAN as the native, and then you can segment out the other ones into VLANs. The reason to do it that way is because that way everything can be on there without having to add a VLAN tag for it for certain devices when you're setting them up. But the other side you could do, set it up so you always have to add that VLAN tag. But either way, VLANs are of limited security if someone has any physical access anyway. So whichever way you want to set up, physical access breaks both ways of this. So hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, of course the standard OpenSense question has been asked. Everyone has to ask an OpenSense question. Yeah, disabling ports that aren't in use and MAC locking. That one. That is, one of those simple tasks you can do of if the ports aren't in use, disable them all if you're worried about some of the physical access. Because if someone unplugs a port, you're going to find out because someone will complain. But if you disable all the unused ports when someone tries to plug in because they want to do something nefarious on their network, they will find themselves without a port that's plugged in, and then obviously that will trigger them to keep trying ports until they unplug something, and then you'll be triggered because someone will have something unplugged and you'll go from there. But once people have physical access, it's going to get messy very quickly. Banning certain keywords in YouTube, that everything gets complicated and it's a cat and mouse game. Trying to filter all that is just, yeah. And like Eric said, keeping management on native VLAN just saves a lot of troubleshooting headaches. So it all depends on how you want to manage the network and how complicated you want to make it. Also, by the way, and I was going to do a video on this, and there's probably one coming soon. User training, if you have the budget to buy massive amounts of stupid DPI filtering, install SSL certificates, etc., all that fun stuff, you probably should have spent the money if you had a budget to only buy one or the other. Both is better. I won't argue that. Spending money on user training will get you further than spending money on filtering. And I found a website the other day, and I have a video clip because a client did this, and user training saved them. No filtering system at all was able to catch this. It is now, because it's a cat and mouse game. A campaign went out. A site that was not listed, didn't behave like malware, was able to get through. The clients, realized the site was bad, and that stopped them from going there. That user training was worth more than all the stupid firewalls that you could put in front of it and everything else. And that's something a lot of people don't do. They try to look for technology solutions which are infinitely more expensive to try to put users into a box versus some minimal amounts of user training, like just to teach them to be more suspicious of things, will get you further. Yeah. Let's see. If you had control, first thing, what would you have Ubiquity Fix make? Make a real firewall that has a lot of features. They have such a nice platform for their switching and their Wi-Fi, but their firewalls are like, what? Like, they're just rudimentary, and I don't understand that. So, yeah, KnowBe4 calls it the human firewall. The reality is, we can all say it, the first line of defense, or the first interaction, might be the client or your firewall, but really it's the users and the user's action. They're often, you see these big companies and you see them get hit by malware. We're especially recently, there's been a couple large companies hit by some hacking campaigns, and it was all about the social engineering of their people to get them to do it. They spearphish people. They knew people were the weak link. These companies, trust me, if you dive into them, it's usually not ineptitude. They had top-notch firewalls, rules. They have management VLANs and followed all kinds of, they probably had some type of NAC system. I have people that really want to implement a whole network access control system. Oh yeah, go ahead, implement all that. And then when so-and-so in accounting clicks that file and destroys your whole network, see you on the other side for all that money you spent, and now you're going to spend it on incident response. So I've talked about that before. All these systems can get run over, and it's just, yeah. user training is like some of the strongest, best defense against it, more so than complicated NAC systems that people seem to ask a lot of questions about. That also becomes a constant source of every time someone moves something, the network access control stops them from doing the thing they wanted to get done and ends up being a constant user hindrance. And sometimes users figure out ways to go around these things so they can get their job done, which then creates a different security hole. And of course creates a lot of busy work, and all the while someone just calls in and gets someone to click a file and boom, you got ransomware. So hopefully that makes sense. Let's see. Can you use an edge router and Pfsense together? You could, but I don't know why you would. You could technically daisy chain a dozen firewalls together, but I'm not sure why you'd want to do that. IT security is a whack-a-mole game all the time. That is true. I will absolutely not argue with that in any way. It is definitely an absolute game of whack-a-mole. Let's see. Fun, yeah, users making big messes. Yes, there is so many silly things that you deal with. I mean, the silliness that, until I have a conclusion, I'm not going to talk about it right here in a video, but I might, of just the breakdown of silliness that's going on with two clients right now. Is just like, I'm shaking my head at the entire thing of just like, who thought this was a good idea? Why did you not call us your tech company? How did you manage to create all these issues for us? Which the client realizes completely wrong. They should have called us, and we're just like, they even paid us these are two managed clients. They pay us as managed clients and made some unusual decisions to start moving stuff around in their network without even asking us, and then creating alerts, creating us to call them and try to reverse engineer what they did, and they're not sure why they did it because normally they pay us to do it. So users sometimes are just unpredictable, and they are sometimes the what, and they create the whack-a-mole environments for us for sure. So force Outlook to open up sandbox attachments. Neat in concept, hard to do in implementation. So IT security folks need to say they're approachable. Yes, Willie Howe's very right on that. People being full of themselves are absolutely a major impediment to getting things done. You will find people who may be smarter than the other person in terms of their technical acumen, but their personal skills will hold them at bay for a long time at a job site, or even make them push them off into lesser positions, not because they're technical skills, but because they lacked any soft skills, as they've often been called, or people skills. If you don't have people skills, you are going to stunt your own career. If you are just a smartass all the time, you will also stunt your own career. While the clever quips and comebacks that, calling everybody an idiot because you know more than them may seem entertaining to you or certain people around you, you will realize very quickly you will be passed up for promotion on such things. Walk around the office and take away the Post-it notes with passwords on it. Yes, definitely. That's always kind of fun. Also, and I got to find the post, there's a good post-mortem on one of the things that occurred in the Twitter hack that I found interesting. Apparently, they did have two-factor. And the way they got around the two-factor on their God mode login was by calling the person and confirming. They said they were from IT and needed to confirm the two-factor, and they read back the two-factor to them. So it was kind of a simple, way simpler than you think, breakdown on that. So I heard that on another podcast. They were talking about it. They didn't have a link to the article, so that's going to be interesting to dive into. Let's see. Password on a Post-it. Yeah, password on Post-it is probably better than password one. We'll at least go there. Have you ever known segregating networks using VLANs to be any less secure than physical LANs? See, when you have physically separated LANs, you aren't sharing the medium. Once you share the medium, look up VLAN hopping. If you have a shared medium and at some point there was a failure, and I believe there was this tool. There was some different flaws in attack method that you could use to, it was called Frogger VLAN hopping. And it was a method by which you could hop around on VLANs, and I love that it was called Frogger. So there are potential problems with VLANs being able to get on them, especially, I believe, I feel, and it's been, don't absolutely hold me to this, so I at least preface with that there was a flaw in some of the Cisco systems, and that you could, let me find out if there was a CVE for it. VLAN hopping CVE. Where was it? I want to say someone. Let's see if I can't find this right up. It was a default configuration, so you would have to disable DTP to prevent negotiation of a trunk line. This looks like something that Cisco has fixed. It's more of a default config, was susceptible to the spoofing of things. So yeah, it's been a while. It's been a couple of years. This has been fixed a while ago. It's not something new. But once you share the medium, then there's the potential. If you have physically separate networks, that potential only lies then in whatever is the firewall that does the management of those two networks. So you changed where the attack vector is. So which one do you trust more? The switch to properly handle the VLAN tags and not allow any of the traffic to get mixed up? Or do you trust the firewall to not do this? And technically, your firewall still has to do with it unless you have layer 3 routing and you have the rule handling inside the switch. Generally, it's up in the firewall with that exception. So it becomes a complicated topic. How's that? So how do you handle overly chatty employees? I don't really have that too much of an issue. If not, I don't know. You just tell them not to do that. So please help my OpenVPN posts on the forums. I reply to many of them, but also Google's your friend. I've mentioned that before. Like, someone posted something in the forums, all I did was highlight, right-click, Google. The answer was already posted in the Pfsense forums to the question they asked. Like, so I pasted a link back to the Pfsense forum that answered the question. So hopefully, I mean, if that's not, to me, that's answering. All I'm doing is copy, search, paste, enter, paste, and yeah, I don't know. Oh yeah, the TP link. When I did the review of that, I pointed out that you could get to the management interface no matter which VLAN you were on. There was a flaw. I don't know if they fixed this. There was a firmware issue. So certain hardware may leave you, especially if there's a known vulnerability, TP link, it's an inexpensive piece of equipment, and the way it handles VLANs versus an unknown vulnerability out there. So if you have a secure network, running them all separate is going to be starting at your most secure bet for that. Ceramic coated. I did not ceramic coat my Tesla. I did wrap my Tesla. So back over to the photos, because we're getting down to the end of this here. So now I'm going to jump over to the Errata section of things. But my Tesla is wrapped. Where's that Defcon photo? Because it was nice and shiny that day as I washed it. There we go. So yes, that is what my Tesla looks like. It looks even stranger in person because the camera cannot handle the dynamic range that comes out of the colors on my car. So people who see it like this say it looks weird. When they see it in person, they go, oh, that's interesting. It's a different look in person, but it's just because the camera has a hard time with it. Do I have another picture of it somewhere? Matter of fact, because it was slightly cloudy, I was at a car show, you can see how it just kind of turns gray where the sun's not hitting it. So yeah, but I don't do the ceramic coating. I'm fine with the wrap just being a wrap on it, but that's what it looks like right now. And I am working on a more in-depth Tesla video coming in soon. So I don't wax it. I use the McGuire's all-in-one car polish. It has wax in it. I don't know if you have to actually wax it. I've just always used the McGuire's. It always looks great. Everything comes off it really easy. It's super clean. I like it, and that's enough to make me happy with it. Cool. All right. A few more minutes. Because what I have to do next is fix this. So my 10-year-old lawnmower, I have a riding mower and it broke, so I have to go do this next. There's the bearings that you shouldn't be able to see. Also, the bearing's not in the pulley anymore, and there's the new pulley sitting next to it. So that's my other piece of errata for things that Tom has to go do. So I got to cut the grass. I haven't cut it in a couple days because I was waiting on a stupid pulley. So in order to sell my house, I have to fix that and fix the pulley and go from there. So that's that's where I got to head next. I hate cutting grass, but yeah, one of those things I got to do. And I still like wrenching on things. I actually kind of had a thought because I have my personal channel, and let me find it real quick. So, and I'm just laughing about this. So, there's me, my Honda C70 Passport Super Cub. I realized I did this in 2015. It's got 27,000 views. Now, this is my personal channel where I just have random things in me in my garage. And I may do more videos completely on my personal channel. This is not related to Lawrence Systems, but for those of you interested, I may do a few more videos because I have a handful of things. I have a fascinating love of a lot of mechanical things. Therefore, I have all the video equipment, so I said, hey, why don't I do some more videos? Obviously, that one's been done a long time ago. So I may, on my personal channel, completely unrelated, going, you know, I love talking about these things, and I have different motorcycles and different things I'm working on. So I may do a separate me goofing off for those of you that want to follow me on me talking about motorcycles and random things I take apart on another channel. So I will probably go through and do those on that channel and then tweet them out for people that are looking for it. So I'm not really looking for subscribers. I don't monetize my other channel, and there's no release schedule. There's like me, I have bicycles that I talk about on there because I became deeply fascinated with a particular bicycle. Matter of fact, where's that bicycle at? It would be the, funny, this is the bicycle I ride, and it has 26,000 views on me talking about bicycles for 6 minutes because I like bicycles. So I reviewed my bike, and I still have this bike. So I did a review of the bicycle, and that has a lot of views. So I may do more videos like that. They're not, like I said, they're still me explaining things that I have in my passion for them and fascination with them and all the weird esoteric details that I know about the history of whatever it is I'm talking about. I may put it on a channel because, well, why not? That's got to go somewhere, right? Let's see. Do I monitor and set alerts up? That all depends on whether or not I'm getting paid to manage alerts. If I'm not paid to manage alerts, I don't manage the alerts. Alerts, if I'm paid, I will do something about them. But, so, yeah. Tom, good to see you. On the Dream Machine Pro, can you route 10 gigabit internally between networks or VLANs? No. The reason you can't is because it does have a 10 gig connector, but it does not have a multitude of 10 gig connectors. So no, but you can, I I think it will do. I talked about some of the routing speed when I did the review video. I don't know if that's changed. I still have the Dream Machine sitting down here, and we turn it on once in a while to update it so I can learn a little bit about it. But it's also, I haven't done a lot of videos on it. We just don't. We were really hoping for more with the Dream Machine. Outside of a fancy home user that doesn't want VPN, I don't really think it's that amazing of a product. So hopefully that helps Chris. But I'm going to say, you know, if you're looking at different firewalls, don't look at the Dream Machine if you're looking for something more advanced. Any impressions about the True Methods and MSP business model? What is True Methods? I don't know what that is. I never went through their training, so I don't have an opinion on it. So it looks like True Methods, a world-class MSP with software and strategy for continuous evolving industry. In case you're wondering what it is, it's this, but that's that you know as much as I do about it. I think I've heard people mention it before, so maybe I know that much more. Powerful software to build your client strategy, proven framework to grow. So I don't know. What is it exactly? Is it just a training place? Make your MSP more profitable. Training software. They sell software? They do training. They do both? I don't know. If it makes you more profitable, more successful, awesome, go use it. I don't use it, so I don't have an opinion on it. Looks neat. I don't know. They have a pretty website. Let's see. Take it apart and work it out how things work. Yes, I take everything apart. I see you replying to someone else, but still. Don't virtualize FreeNAS. That's my answer. The pros and cons, I did a video. I don't use Proxmox, so I don't know if it's better or worse than Proxmox. I did a video talking about the virtualization of FreeNAS. It can be a headache. I did that video very recently, so you can follow up on that. If you think Proxmox is better, go ahead and try it. I don't use it, so... Never heard of Halon Firewall, so doesn't ring a bell. There's a lot of random firewalls out there. Yeah, Kanbans are cool. We actually use, and I mentioned this before, I didn't do a video on it, but we use Taskboard. I'll drop a link to this. Taskboard's pretty cool, and it's open source. So that is taskboard.matthewross.me. But yeah, a simple visual way to keep track. They have a demo here, and we can admin to the demo. Where is it? There you go. Demonstrate features, drag them around, create them. We use this internally, and we like it. Some test. There we go, add task, cool. Then let's go ahead and edit this task and choose a file and upload it, You see, it's kind of neat. And you can even go through the admin settings and have them change color as they move and assign them to people. I like it. It's pretty neat. They have checkboxes, so we can add checklists to it. They got some kind of cool features. Apparently I don't have access to that. I gotta log in as admin maybe? So, admin. We have it set up on ours working in production. Oh, edit the task. Whatever. We don't use the checkboxes, but we do use it, and it's just a slick system for doing all this. So if we do this, add comments to it. You can see the comments that are on there. I didn't edit any particular comment, etc., etc. Edit the task itself. Change the color of the task, and we can make it red because red tasks get done faster or look more important anyways, except for that's not very, I guess it's still readable. But yeah, Taskboard's kind of neat. It's a Kanban essentially for doing that, so it's kind of cool. It's free, so that's also, bonus for you if you want to use it. How many new subscribers in your personal channel after that plug just now? I don't know. I guess I could look to see if people tried to subscribe to me personally. You'll find all kinds of unusual things about me if you subscribe to me personally. 4 people. Wow. So look at that. We got all these views gained. I have all kinds of just random things about me are on here. Me going sledding. I don't even know. Oh, me testing B-roll. Here's Tom testing B-roll and on a video. So I just randomly throw things when I want to test if something works up there for me, goofing off and testing stuff when I was doing something for a client a while ago. So this is my personal channel is full of absolute randomness and probably some cringeworthy stuff if you go back enough. I'm positive I'm doing something stupid on there like this. This was me learning how to use a green screen. I don't even know what I'm saying in this, but I'm sure it's something stupid and cringeworthy. So, yes, I do lots of dumb stuff. That's why this doesn't go on my other channel. What else is in here? Playing with snowmobiles. Okay, enough of that. I've now wandered way off the deep path here. So let's... what else do we have? Yeah, I don't expect to get a lot more subscribers on there. Let's see. Does Tom do any CrossFit? No, Tom does not do CrossFit. If that's any cross, I'm assuming you mean CrossFit. I'm not much of a workout person. What else? Oh, no CrossFit. Yep. Yeah, my personal channel goes deep in YouTube very quickly. Oh, like, I do have a Kawasaki. I have my Ninja 500. I haven't done many videos on it, but I may do a video on that on my personal channel because I've studied a lot the EX500. That's what made me buy one. So yeah, that could be a whole nother deep dive where I go over there. So, nothing wrong with some dumb stuff. Well, not everybody thinks that, but true. So, but I'm going to wander off here. I'm going to call it at 5 p.m. It is 4:52. So at 5, I have to stop because I got to go put that pulley on my lawnmower and do yard work, which I don't really want to do, but I do need to go do yard work. So I will be doing that in 8 minutes from now. So in between, I have 83 likes and 299 concurrent viewers. So as it says on the laptop here, bash that like button. That would be great. Look, right there it says bash the like button. So if you guys could do that, it helps out the YouTube algorithm. And I need to say that. I need to say, click that like button at the beginning of my videos more often. I say it in this video because I know someone will bring it up, but I don't say it enough in the other ones. So, what else? What else? I don't think that's it. I think we covered all the different things here. Can you ZSH that like button? Maybe. It just doesn't have the same ring to it. So that. Do you perform any data recovery? I have a video where I talk a little bit about data recovery, but we don't spend a lot of time on it. That's just best to outsource to people. We just don't have that much. It doesn't come in very frequently, oddly enough. So a lot of times, when people ask for data recovery, it's catastrophic failure. So even data recovery companies can't fix it. So it's not, it seems like hard drives, mostly because there are so many things that move to SSD, we're seeing less failures. And the other challenge is the ones that are probably recoverable don't get past the phase of, what do you mean it costs more than $100 to recover this hard drive? Yeah, we're not doing it for $100. Sorry. Data recovery is usually starting in $1,000 range for some of the high-end recovery. And people they usually just think it's not worth it to get those files up there. When they do, we'll hand it over to some data recovery company that's local here and do it. But I haven't been out there in a couple of years since I've had one. We've been able to recover using a tool that I can't remember the name of it that I talked about on the channel. If you type in data recovery, you'll find it because I can't remember the name. RStudio. We still do from time to time, and we've had good luck with RStudio and Recuva, RECUVA. Both of those work. So it's been a while since I don't use it. My staff does more than me. I'm not actually the one doing it. FreeNAS versus Synology. I don't know if I'll do a video on that topic or not. They're very different from each other. They obviously serve a similar purpose. One, though, FreeNAS is fully open source and scales much bigger. We really do like the Synology. We actually deploy a lot of Synology to small businesses because they fit that use case really well. Backup. So, yeah, backing up is a whole... Getting people to back up's always a challenge. So that's what some of the silliness led to before, is talking about how confusing it is that someone took some of our backups off, that they had another person come out there and remove them, and then still paid the bill. And we've been calling them to try to get the backups put back on. We're not sure who uninstalled them, but it's confusing because they also paid the bill for them. So they took them off and then paid us. So we're trying to get them back on because we'd like to provide the service that you're paying us for, but they're hard to get a hold of. So it's been really confusing. I may do some debrief video on it because it's kind of one of those unexpected problems we've run into, and it's not the first time it's happened. So clients are confusing sometimes. People do strange things and without any logical reason that we can find. Yeah, right click, copy, paste, backup, done. Any untested backups are wishful thinking. You do have to go through and test them. We use the SolarWinds backup program probably the most right now. We have more clients on that than anything else because it just works. I've done videos on it. I gotta admit, the SolarWinds platform has just been reliable for us for backups. We've had to do plenty of restores, and they just keep making the product better. So I probably should revisit it in a video at some point in time, but we're still using it. It still works. We use MSP 360 less right now because we had some trouble with the way it was storing in Backblaze. But yeah, that's a different topic. So one side note, though, I did do a video, and we've sold this to people. This is not something we manage, but because we do projects for people who have internal IT departments, the active backup system is really cool in Synology. That's a really nice system. SolarWinds is still our main RMM system. We like SolarMM. Hard drive unsmasher, yeah. But the, what was I gonna say? Yeah, overall I like the SolarWinds platform. I thought about doing. I'm waiting till towards the end of this year. If for those of you who don't know, I tweeted about this. I looked to the right over there, because or left for me, right for you. I am part of the Solar Networks Partner Advisory Council, so I'm actually on a board of advisory people to have discussions about the SolarWinds product and the platform. So I'm pretty embedded with their platform. We do like it, and we also have their ear to, a group of us, not me, a group of us have their ear to how to help develop products. That being said, there are really good integrations coming down, and once they finish the next round of integrations, we will probably be revisiting and doing a video on the SolarWinds RMM platform. So definitely getting deeper into that. Yeah, people always just don't pay for backups, discontinue backups, don't pay the bill. We had someone that just got discontinued because they didn't pay the bill and then wanted something, and we're like, well, you quit paying the bill 6 months ago, so the backup also stopped 6 months ago, and what do you want me to do? Hold on to it for 6 months after you stop paying? They thought we'd at least have 6 months ago data, and we're like, no. So, yeah. Veeam can do sure backup jobs test. Yeah, there's ways you can do verifications there. There's a whole lot that can be done with all the different backups and the verifications and everything else. Just a plethora of things, and it's a big discussion trying to decide which platform you want to stay on. The nice thing with SolarWinds, everything's one big bill to one place, so I only have to fight with one group of people. I mean, because you're spending so much money with one group of people, you can get discounts for all the money you spent with one group of people. So there's some advantages to using SolarWinds too, to have them all inclusive like that. But yeah, overall, it's still what we're using. Maybe I'll cover some of our stack later and things like that. But I will be doing, as I said earlier, some of the updated videos on Huntress as well. So we're going to talk overall about the RMM stack. But those are a little ways down the road because I have a lot of things I have to complete before then. Until then, just bash that like button. It's $4.59. You're not going to find pricing on there. Their pricing scales with how many endpoints you have, so there's not. They don't do the pricing. They also, I had an interesting conversation, and I understand it from like the people at Huntress. Why don't they just stick their prices on their website? Well, one of the reasons why is when you resell a product, you don't want your end users knowing what you pay. And the reason, you can or can't. There's different arguments to this. The problem is if the end users go, well, you only pay this much for it. Yeah, that much gives me a dashboard, but doesn't give you, it's not like you're just marking it up. You're adding your intelligence to it. You're adding the response, the what do you do when there's an incident. You're adding the monitoring of it, not just a dashboard. So sometimes they do that because it is a preference from some of the vendors so they don't get nickel and dimed. And also places like Huntress, they're like, look, we don't want to sell to a 3-person office. That's a lot of support. They'd rather resell to an MSP who then supports a larger group of people. And it's kind of a funneling down of tech support because I've mentioned before on this channel, tech support's stupid expensive. So if you have a bunch of small places going directly because they thought they could save a couple dollars from some markup put on it by the MSP, but then they just play 20 questions all the time with everything that shows up on the dashboard, that's sometimes why companies hide it. And SolarWinds does the same thing, that because I'm not just putting a dashboard together and marking it up and just sitting back and doing nothing. We actively engage, resolve things on the dashboard if there's something that comes up, and put plans and action around it. So yeah, you're not going to find prices on a lot of it. They do that just to stop the silliness of people who look at the price and assume, oh, all you do is mark it up. No, we actually have to do things and understand the product, and that's where the value comes. So hopefully that makes sense, and I'm going to go wander out of here and go cut grass, which is, I'd rather sit and talk to all of you, that's for sure. That sounds way better than cutting grass, but I do have to cut the grass or pay someone to do it. And I didn't get enough donations to pay someone to do it because I have a big yard, so I guess I got to go do it. All right, and thanks.